It's 4 o'clock in New Boston, New Hampshire. It's 1 p.m. in Winnemucca, Nevada. The DOJ and the FBI's corrupt conduct in the Trump raid is drawing new fire and accusations of more impropriety and abuse as more whistleblowers come forward to sound the alarm. Plus, MSNBS accuses President Trump of a terrorist threat after he offers to help bring down the temperature over the politically motivated raid. We'll remind MSNBS of who the real terrorists are. And a slap in the face to all taxpayers who paid off their debts, Joe Biden is using our money to buy votes by forcing us to pay off other people's student loans. Wow. Without fear or favor. The Salcedo Show starts right now. Good afternoon and welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show on Newsmax. The unprecedented and corrupt raid on President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home has been revealed to be a coordinated attack between Joe Biden's White House and the corrupt DOJ. President Trump, recognizing that this collapse of credibility, this breach of law, and the permanent division it will bring, he offered his help to bring down the temperature after Joe Biden and the corrupt DOJ brought our nation to the boiling point. For this, the basket of biased press is calling President Trump and those angered by this raid terrorists. Exposing the real terrorists. That's our focus in tonight's preamble. The majority of the press, like CBS, the New York Post, CNN, and others, they are playing catch-up to John Solomon and Just the News after they revealed that not only was President Trump cooperating, just as past presidents have, with efforts by the National Archives to preserve documents, we now know that Joe Biden's regime in the White House personally weaponized the DOJ and the FBI into their own personal political hit squad. After the raid, several FBI whistleblowers informed Republicans who gave a damn, which excludes guys like Mitch McConnell, that the institution of the DOJ has been compromised by leftist politics. Now, a new tranche of whistleblowers is coming forward in the wake of the raid. According to the Washington Times, the FBI field office in Miami, Salt Lake City, Buffalo, and Newark face accusations that their upper management coerced agents into signing false affidavits, inflated terrorism caseloads to improve their apparent performance, engaged in illicit sexual activities, or concealed the illicit sexual activities of others. Given the threat this corruption poses to the United States and our union, President Trump offered to dial back the permanent divisions being sown by the Beijing-serving White House and the politicized DOJ. As far as we can tell, this is what happened. Watch.
And Barbara, one of the things that stuck out from Trump's lawsuit is a message a Trump attorney had for a high-ranking Justice Department official in a call days after the search. Quote, President Trump wants the Attorney General to know he has been hearing from people all over the country about the raid. If there was one word to describe their mood, it is angry. The heat is building up. The pressure is building up. And whatever I can do to take the heat down, to bring the pressure down, just let us know.
Okay, that seems to be pretty much on the ball. MSNBS articulated the words conveyed by President Trump through his attorney accurately. So how do the leftists at MSNBS interpret Trump's offer to diffuse tensions that are right now boiling over? Watch.
If you were working, Barbara, in the Justice Department and got that message, what would you make of it?
I would see it as a veiled threat that they're suggesting that if you take action against me, there could be civil unrest. And boy, once we start, negotiating with terrorists, we're in deep trouble. And so that would strike me as a very improper statement.
The folks at MSNBS viewed Trump's attempt to calm the nation that Joe Biden and his regime just inflamed as a threat. Further, MSNBC said of all the folks who think it's wrong to have a politicized DOJ and FBI leadership who are abusing the rights of our citizens, MSNBC calls them terrorists. Remember, it was the same ideology that dominates MSNBS that was responsible for calling parents who didn't want their kids taught racism through CRT, calling them terrorists. You all see where this is going, right? Any opposition to anti-American left-wingers will be deemed a terrorist act. And recent events confirm that the Socialists and the Democrat Party have muscle behind them as the DOJ and FBI have fallen into unsavable corruption and left-wing partisanship. The idea that Trump, trying to prevent the country from ripping itself apart, and those of us who are angry at the Biden regime for trying to tear this country apart, were being labeled as terrorists by the left, it's absurd on its face. So allow me, with the help of our friends at Cauldron Pool, to remind our compromised DOJ, the FBI leadership, and MSNBS what real terrorists look like.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
Since the DOJ, the FBI, and certainly MSNBS have been compromised by anti-American leftists, and totalitarians are usually not the sharpest tools in the shed, we may have to show them more examples of who the real terrorists are.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
What do you guys think? Do you think they got it by now? Maybe cartoons are more their speed on the left. Here's a political cartoon from our pal A.F. Branco, who tells us Fox News wouldn't run this political cartoon. Perhaps it hits a little too close to home, eh, Cavuto? The Democrats, like Nancy Pelosi and the Biden DOJ and FBI, are busy saying that Trump voters are a threat to democracy, when in truth, it is the American Republic that is a threat to anti-Americans on the left. I'm not sure they get it. Maybe I need to show some footage from outside of Trump rallies to reveal who the real, violent, thuggish anti-Americans are. Preying on innocent and helpless people. That's kind of what Democrats do. Just ask the 66 million aborted babies since 1973. Oh, wait, you can't. The Democrats' violence and cruelty is chronicled and obvious. And it's what Christopher Wray and Merrick Garland are supporting by looking the other way. You know, it's so bad that not even ABC News could ignore it.
Overnight, all-out brawls outside the Trump rally in San Jose, California. Trump supporters harassed, beaten, and bloodied by mobs of protesters.
They were like spitting on me and stuff.
This man says he was sucker punched, his clothes torn off his back.
7 more people just come in, start punching me. I look pretty bad.
There it is. There it is. The face of the American left. It's what they're doing literally and figuratively to our country. Through illegal activity, through promotion of criminality in our streets and at the border, through violence and an unfair press, the Democrats are conducting a campaign of terrorism on the United States. It's a campaign of terror that does physical harm. It does harm to our fiscal health. It does harm to our actual health. President Trump and those of us condemning DOJ corruption or those concerned over failing GovEd schools, we aren't terrorists. That distinction belongs to left-wing extremists who are part of or support the Democrat Party.